Hello, my name is Ariel Kilgore, and this is my presentation of photographic magazines. Photographic magazines had the purpose to inform readers and news, give visual effects to what was going on around the world. By adding these photos, it would help link the readers to what was actually going on the page and help describe to people what was going on. And you can see more magazines have more pictures on them than they do have words because we're trying to connect to the reader, we're trying to talk to the reader, help explain ourselves to the reader than they would for print. But print is still there just to, help describe what's actually going on in the photos along with what the photos are displaying. So this was the start of picture magazines. The beginning of photojournalism in magazines started in Germany in the 1800s, and it modernized itself by the 1925 with the invention of the camera, the Leica. The Leica is a German camera with 35 millimeters of a camera circular and it's one lens, but it was really good for photography. And so photographers were assigned to photojournalists to capture these events and write the story so that way you can write what you see. It helped create things that were never seen before in newspaper or magazines, like captions and themes, because basically newspapers follow words and it was kind of jumbled and unorganized, but by creating things in captions you can help separate ideas, and this is what made it really important for magazines and newspapers to evolutionize the way that they were. So Biz Magazine was a magazine created in Germany by Kurt Kopf. He was their editor from 1905 to 1933. Excuse the typo. He was the editor-in-chief of Biz Magazine. He worked with Keitz, but then he moved when the Nazis took over in Germany. He had big ideas of wanting to push toward the new era of journalism with photos and writing together. He also worked with the famous photographer Robert Capa. Robert Capa created a lot of war photography. He also fled from Germany to go to Paris and the United States to help create photojournalism and also other types of journalism. Big Magazine was one of the first magazines in Germany that covered everything. They covered elections, they covered war, they covered entertainment, everything that you could ever think of. And Kurt Kopf was the one that started it all. Henry Luce was the founder of Time Magazine, and we all know Time Magazine is a magazine full of politics and also what goes on through American life. He created this by writing in the style of college, which made people feel nostalgic because when you write in college, it just brings back so many memories. He also created other magazines like Life and Fortune. Both around the 1930s created new styles to present to magazines in an era of writing styles and amazing photography, because Life hired a lot of famous photographers that built their magazine with great pictures, won them amazing awards. This is a quote from Brinkley: "To see life, to see the world, to want its great events, to watch the faces of the poor and the gestures of the proud, to see strange things, machines, armies, multitudes, shadows in the jungle and or on the moon, to see men's work, to see you take pleasure in seeing." He said this quote to tell people that just because you read it doesn't mean you actually connect to it. Having pictures helps modernize everything and to create in somewhat a circle of life of what we're seeing, so that way when you read something you can actually feel it, you can actually connect to it, and that it actually says something to you. So in the continuation of the beginning of photographic magazines, Life magazine was an overnight hit after being published in 1936. It also created other imitators like Look and Paris Match, but they both struggled when they hit the television age. This is a video of an effect of magazines, specifically with National Geographic is going to show what photography meant for them and how it captured everything. So here is my video. I will definitely leave the video in the comments down below. I thought the screen recording would let me have sound, but it didn't. So you will be watching the video without sound, but this is my video. So back to my PowerPoint. Lane Photography. She had this theme called the corner of the eye, where everything she captured might have been to the corner of the eye, but for you to actually see her perspective. She was an FSA photographer. She took this famous picture that everybody has seen in their history textbooks called Mother Migrant. It was put in a rural area of California. It was from a pea farm where it was taken from to capture famine and poor farmers, and is the most famous portrait in history. Other photographers of Life magazine of photojournalism included Jordan Parks, Margaret Burke White, Dorothea Lange, Robert Capa, Alfred Estad, W. Eugene Smith, and Edward Stein. So Margaret Burke was famous photographer of the Dust Bowl, and Dorothea Lange, who we just saw, was Mother Migrant. Robert Capa was a famous war photographer. Alfred Estad was a celeb photographer. W. Eugene Smith did science photography. He was a photographer of mercury poisoning in agriculture. And Edward Stein was a national photographer that took photography all over the world, from Africa, Spain, the United States, everywhere, just to give a universal perspective. Robert Capa took famous war photos, who we've been raving about this whole presentation, was famous for his Spanish Civil War photo of soldiers in his last moment of death. For Germany, he fled Germany after Nazis took over Paris, and then fled Paris, France after Germany took them over, and worked for Collier and Life magazine. He took photos of D-Day, but was unfortunately killed in Vietnam trying to take those photos. He was the only photographer on D-Day that was able to capture those photographies, and he always liked and had a creative style of taking pictures of people's last moments or very heartbreaking events in war. He is most famous for his war pictures and everything about it. Photography expanded into other areas and themes of the world. Most of these began with civil rights, presidential elections, especially presidencies, anything that went on into the world. It also helped scientists give pictures of the universe and help understand where we live, just like the Earth Rising picture that was taken. And it also gave people visions of celebrities and took careers in editorials. For example, Marilyn Monroe took off because she was famously photographed. In all, pictures could now be taken in pictures in the 1970s and can give more visual life to the readers and more description in writing. It helped readers actually connect to the magazine and create businesses in different aspects, like business, stock markets, celebrities, Teen Vogue, different aspects like that, gave people visual representations of the world which influenced people for greater, like the civil rights movements, or actually voting. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. These are my sources, and I hope you guys have a great day.